Hello, everybody, and welcome to Two Geeks and One Noob, where we gather friends of similar interests and maybe not so similar and discuss, joke, learn more about, and generally have fun with geek culture. This episode, we are talking about our favorite video games. And our first question for today is, what was your first household console?
Well, hold on. Console. Just a console? Like, sits under the TV? Or are we talking...
Really anything that you can play games on.
Okay.
In your childhood.
So
like
even more generic than that.
Your family, what was the first thing your parents bought you to play games on?
We had
or bought for the family.
We had an old Nintendo back in the day, and I remember playing some of the original Mario games and like Duck Hunt, and those were the first games I played. But when I really started getting into video games was the Super Nintendo, and with Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario Bros. Like way back in the day. That was like the real start for me.
There you go. Those were some fun games. Yeah. What about you, David?
So, as far back as I can remember, we had a PC, and this was at the time this was a screamer of a PC, a whole 512 gigs of 512 megs of RAM. So I mean, we played.
So it took you the whole day to actually download it onto the computer, and
well, no, we actually had like 3.5-inch floppy disks. We actually,
right.
I take it back. Yeah. We had a few games that were on like the actual floppy disks.
Yep.
So yeah, the big ones for us were Number Muncher. Don't know if y'all remember those at all.
Not specifically.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, but beyond that, well, that was for my sister and I. But then, as a family, Dad would frequently enough for it to be a sticking memory for both of us kids, would let us watch him play Wolfenstein 3D, Silent Hunter, which was a kind of a submarine game.
Nice.
So yeah, we were mostly PC, but for a more traditional definition, it would have been an Xbox.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I remember in Donkey Kong Country, I was trying to do the barrel cheat code to get 99 lives and accidentally deleted my dad's save.
Oh, no.
And he was a lot further than I was. And when he saw that, he just like the look on his face. I know that look very well now because I've had that look in my gaming life.
Oh man, yeah, that's a rough time there. For me, it was so I had like my grandmother had a Sega Genesis, and my other grandmother had a Nintendo. I think it was an NES or something like that. But my household, my brother brought home a PlayStation 1 when I was like 11 or 12. And like the excitement on my face when he brought that home was just like, oh, this is so cool. And the first game I ever played on it was Crash Bandicoot. It was amazing. But yeah, I'd had some previous experience in video gaming before that, but nothing was that amazing. Yeah. So moving on from that, what was the first console you bought?
Oh man, the first console I personally bought wasn't until I was an adult, but like the first console that was considered mine was my old Game Boy Color back in the day, and I got that and Pokemon Yellow like the day as like a birthday gift. I got both of them that day, and that was all I did that day.
Very
did
nice.
Not see sunlight.
Yeah, for us, it was for me personally. The first one I bought, as in went to the register and bought, was components for a PC. It was a deal in our family. We would build our PCs. We rarely, if ever, bought pre-builds.
Oh yeah.
So Dad and I had spent like 2 months beforehand, just kind of piecing together, like, okay, well, if you're gonna go with this chipset, you need to get this motherboard and that sort of thing. It was a lot of fun, and then just kind of hunting down the budgets and then trying to see, all right, when in time is it going to be the best time to buy?
Right. So it was not just your console, but it was the experience beforehand as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like And I mean, when you and I were specking out your VR setup, it was quite an interesting journey there. And it sounded like you definitely knew what you're doing. So,
But I've been building PCs for a long time.
yeah,
Comes by it honest at this point. So.
Oh yeah.
which from what I've heard, both of you are pretty versed in at least some computer building.
Yeah, I've done my own personal build as well. Both times that I've done a build, I had my old roommate help me out with it, or one of the old roommates. They both helped me out at different times. But like, I'm dumber than dumb when it comes to actually building the parts and whatnot. But they did a lot of help with the first PC build I had. They basically gifted me all the parts until all I needed was the processor and the case, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just buy these 2 parts and finish this off then.
So were you going with an APU, or did you have a dedicated GPU for that as well?
I don't know what those things
English.
Like I said, they gave me the parts and told me what I needed to run it, and that's what I went with.
Sorry, never mind.
It's like I've never been like I play PC games with friends from time to time, but for the most part, I've always been a console gamer for sure.
Yeah. And that kind of leads us into the next question: is which do you prefer, console or PC gaming? And
hang on, we
kind
didn't
of
hear your answer.
Oh, my answer. Yeah, that's a good question. My first console that like not necessarily I bought, but was bought for me specifically, was a PlayStation 3, and so I think my brother had gotten the PlayStation 2, and then later on I had gotten the PlayStation 3 probably for like Christmas or my birthday or something like that. But yeah, so nice. I am also dumber than dumb when it comes to the building stuff. I buy console, I sit and play.
Yeah. That's pretty much me as well. Like I've got a general idea of PC stuff after having done my own build and whatnot with a lot of help, but I definitely prefer console because it's a lot less work over time.
Yeah. But I mean, I will give it to David with, being able to like put your own stuff in it, put what you want into it, because then you can have any specs you want. Like that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just not smart enough to do it.
I think you'd be surprised. It really is it is fairly straightforward. I mean, there is some verbiage, obviously.
APU, GPU.
Yeah.
ADD, ADHD. That's what I have. So, and my memory is crap. So,
fair enough. Yeah, it actually is pretty easy though. But no, you have to get past the verbiage, but after that, it's very simple to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, you get to keep depending on your budget. You can keep up better with more of the tech trends. So if publishers are starting to pump out more games with kind of the newer features, like this would have been a couple years ago now, whenever RTX was first hitting the scene, real-time ray tracing.
Okay.
There were already a handful of developers using that, and pretty much the only people who could really play with that idea in a game real time were the folks who were speccing out their systems, or at least thinking, hang on, I've already got everything I need outside of the graphics card to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and, once this drops, I'm going to buy it and then sell off my old one and time the sale for whenever the new one arrives, so I don't miss a day of my precious me time.
Yeah, there you go. So, like I said, I guess that kind of answers our question of which one you prefer is console or PC gaming. Caleb and I are fairly on the console side, and seems as though David is on the PC side.
I will say, as far as technical advancement, PC, yes. It is my preferred method. That being said, I see absolutely nothing wrong with jumping on a console every now and then, because it's easier to standardize, it's easier to play with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's always, in my experience, I've noticed games tend to have fewer issues on console than PC as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm going to be spending $70, I want to be able to play the freaking game day one and not have all these frame rate issues and bugs and, oh, everyone's T-posing and not moving. What do I do?
So, Caleb, you brought up that about glitches, whatnot. Do either of y'all have, like, these moments where the glitch was just too funny to ignore and it just kind of stuck with you, where that will always be a permanent memory of that particular game or title or interaction with friends?
Definitely. For me, Mass Effect Andromeda. And there is 2 glitches in particular that stand out to me in a big way on that one. And one of the cutscenes, your main custom character is asleep on this medical bed, and they're like people talking around you as you're trying to wake up. And for whatever reason, the eyes started clipping through the eyelids.
Oh.
And so even though the eyes were closed, there's parts of the eyeball poking through, and it was just like the creepiest looking thing, but it was hilarious.
Nice.
And the other one, I was running in the same game. I was running through your ship, and I tried to go into one of the rooms to talk to one of the crew members. And for whatever reason, the door opened, but the room didn't load. And so my character just starts cartwheeling through space. And I was like, gosh, do I restart? Is he going to respawn at any point? What do I do right now? It was just funny watching him cartwheel through space as the ship was flying away. Just like, well, we lost our captain. Oh, well.
Oh, no.
Jettison the dead weight.
Yeah, for me, it was... my brother and I used to play this game, ATV versus MX, I think it is.
Motocross.
So it's, or motocross, yeah. So it's like
MX.
Yeah, MX. So it's motorcycles, ATVs, dune buggies, all sorts of stuff like that. So we would just run around and like, so it wouldn't necessarily be considered a glitch exactly, except for one time I think it was. So we would run around on the motorcycles, and we would find the highest point and like just dive bomb off of it. So every time it would hit a certain point where there's like no coming back from, and it would jump off of the motorcycle and just like start flying through the air. So one of the times it happened, so it jumped off and started like doing some weird cartwheels and stuff like that. But once it hit the ground, it like went through the ground and was still cartwheeling. It's like, what the heck is going on? We had to like stop the game, like turn it back over, and it's just so funny.
Yeah, for me it was we used to do LAN parties fairly frequently back home, but the big games we would play were like Counter-Strike, the original Battlefield. None of us had Battlefront, unfortunately. But also StarCraft 2. StarCraft. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway.
Older, man. Older.
Much older. Yeah, considering the time gap between those two titles, yeah. But like the original StarCraft. But there was a glitch that one of the guys in our group figured out, where if you're playing as Terran, the human characters, you could build a tank, and then if you were quick enough, because the build time on barracks was so quick, you could actually move your tanks through the build site and have your CTVs, whatever, your little construction fleet. You can have them build a barracks on top of the tank. And it doubles the armor.
Oh, wow.
So you just have this barrack moving around constantly.
Oh, wow.
Had to have
That's
been
crazy.
simultaneously the funniest and most frustrating glitch.
I feel like that would be even like better though. Like they should make that a part of the game glitch.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Right, exactly.
Speaking like a true Bethesda fan there. There's not many glitches that bring positive memories.
Yeah.
There's one glitch in particular that was genuine silent rage on my part. And I had a friend in town watching, like hanging out, and he just sat there and looked over at me. He's like, You okay, buddy?
I think you've told me this story before. Is this the Final Fantasy 7?
Final Fantasy X.
10.
Freaking
That's right.
game crash during a save, corrupting the file, and I would just spent hours working on something. It was just genuine rage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now all I want to do is just start humming or whistling the Chocobo theme.
Like that is still like a game that I love, but I don't know if I will ever play it again because I still feel legitimately angry when I think about what happened.
Yeah. It's kind of like my it's not exactly a glitch either, but so I was transitioning from my PlayStation 4 to my my PS5, and
Brag.
yes, I have a PS5. So I was playing one of the Uncharted games, and I was trying to get through the first one so I could, we could get to our Uncharted episode. But so I was playing it on my PS4, but the memory didn't transfer onto the PS5, so I was just like, all right, never mind, I'm going to 2.
Yeah.
But yeah. So real quick question, kind of more so on the specific console side. Which do you like better, PlayStation or Xbox?
I've grown to be more of a PlayStation person. I had been an Xbox person for a long time because really the first games that got my attention that I started actually actively playing with friends and like trying to keep up with was the Halo games.
Yep.
Because we used to do Halo LAN parties back in high school, and like me and my 2 older roommates and a group of other guys and one of their brothers, and like it was always a good time just hanging out and playing games and just never knowing what kind of shenanigans were going to happen with that group.
Drinking the Monsters and
no, I don't think any of us were even allowed to drink Monsters back then. So it was just like the craziness, and we always had fun memories because it was like Justin, one of his brothers, didn't play with us, but his other brother Tyler would play with us, and so we'd like get into this game mode where it's like, okay, we've been playing against each other for a while, let's do a little bit more of like a cooperative thing. And there's just like one game mode where one person's a zombie and the others are the Spartans running around trying to survive the zombie. And if the zombie kills one player, that person revives as a zombie, and it keeps going until there's just zombies. And we had always, there's just this like running joke and memory that we've had for years now. It's just like, Brian, we need a zombie. And it's just like, it's just the funniest thing because he'd always get so angry. He's like, no, I don't want to play. And it's just like, even to the point where we will still bring that up like today, even when it's like not relevant. I remember when me, Justin, and Tyler were rooming, we had like a birthday dinner thing for Brian at the house, and we decided like, let's go around the circle and do like a speech type happy birthday thing for him. And we got to me, and everyone else had been making some pretty funny jokes, but it was like mostly serious. And I was like, we love you, Brian. We're so glad that you were able to celebrate with us. We have so many fun memories. Like, Brian, we need a zombie. And everyone there was present when we would do that back in the day, and all of them laughed. And just seeing Brian sitting there like, I hate you so much.
Nice. What about you, David?
So again, first, like, plugs into the TV console we had was an Xbox for very similar reasons. But that brought in Morrowind. My folks actually binged through competitive Tetris for like 5 hours one night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we started off that way, and then whenever we started getting, mostly me, but occasionally my sister, we started getting into online play, or the idea of online play, like, oh, that could be really fun. And we really did not like the idea of subscription online play.
Oh, yeah.
Because we grew up PC gamers.
Yeah.
Like, why? It plugs in. It's got the jack. Why do I have to pay for something I already have?
Yeah. I'm already paying for internet. Why am I paying for...
Exactly. And so then I saved up and got a PS3. Got a PS3 with, what was it? I can't remember the name of the game, but it was a game that was known for having the largest online battles.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like one of the Battlefield games, maybe.
I don't think so. It was a PlayStation exclusive. That and Borderlands when that first came out. But no, I can't remember the name of this game anymore. Shoot,
Maybe Killzone.
I don't remember. Like it was strictly online.
PUBG.
No, this is
Way-
before.
No, I know.
This is before Battle Royale was anything more than just a mod. to
This
other
is when
games.
studios made games for the players.
Right, exactly.
Oh, shots fired, but not wrong. Anyway, yeah. So got that, and then like 2 months later, the PlayStation Network blackout happened, which also happened to coincide with the release of Portal 2 on PlayStation. And then, very ironically, I ended up getting a PlayStation Plus subscription after that. Mostly because I was kind of grandfathered in because, well, you had the account already, and sorry?
Yeah.
I remember I had like played a few games on PlayStation, but I had always preferred Xbox. Like I'd played some games like Jack and Daxter and Kingdom Hearts and whatnot. And then I just kind of geared more towards Xbox for a while. And then there was just 1 year back when I was working at Best Buy that there just happened to be one PlayStation 3 left on Black Friday. And as I was clocking out, I just walked over and I pointed to it and I was looking at my manager. I was like, "Can I buy that? I'm off the clock now." He goes, "Yeah, go for it," and scoop that up.
Nice.
And like
Nice.
I happened to get a free copy of Skyrim because we had met a sales goal at the Best Buy I was at, and they were handing out a handful of free copies. And it happened to be on PlayStation. I already had the game, and I was thinking, I was like, maybe I'll give it to like a friend or something like that. And then I got the PlayStation. I was like, this is mine now. And like,
So many hours well spent in my own head playing Skyrim.
hundreds and hundreds of hours on that game.
Very
And it's just like, and then I saw like some of my favorite PS2 games were getting remakes on the PS3, and then other games started rolling out, and I just slowly but surely became more of a PlayStation fan. And it was kind of the same thing. I didn't like the online subscription. I was like, I can play PS3 games online and do streaming and stuff and not pay a company money. Cool. That sounds great.
Yeah, I've always been a PlayStation guy from the beginning. Like, I just liked the games that came with it because, like, the Xbox, I had played a couple of games from it, like the Halo and stuff like that. But I never really liked their design. Like the designs for the characters and stuff were super blocky for me. But PlayStation was a lot smoother and a little bit more, I don't know, well designed for me, or for my tastes. Yeah, I mean, PlayStation.
Well, that was always like one of the selling points. I remember like Xbox always had features that PlayStation didn't have, and then PlayStation was like, we have the Blu-ray feature and slightly cleaner graphics.
Yeah.
And then free online at the time. So that was always a big selling point. Yeah, I remember that. And I remember the days when Xbox was like, our selling point's the Kinect. No, it's not.
Yep. Though it was fun for party games.
Yeah, yes, and it depended on the game, and it also depending on the space.
It also depended on the party.
Yes, yeah, because I remember like we had Kinects at the Best Buy I worked at, and anytime you would walk behind someone playing it, it would for whatever reason register you and not them, even though they were in front of you. And it was just like, so I walked by and just throw off someone that was in the middle of a game for the demo. I was just like, sorry, got to get through here. Don't know what to tell you.
So
I'm a little offended you didn't include Nintendo in that option.
for
Like Nintendo,
yeah.
Xbox.
Nintendo has always been its own thing.
It has always been its own thing, but there are certain things that they do and do very well. For example, when was the last time a Nintendo game came out that had a game-breaking glitch day one?
that is true. I mean, yeah, bring that
there
into
was a
it.
Pokemon game that had a glitch a few years ago, and they like came out and announced it very quick and it's like, all right, here's the workaround. We are working on a fix. Here's what you need to do to not lose your save file. Whereas Xbox and Sony are just like, game's bugged. Cool. Thanks for the money. Like, we'll get to it eventually.
Not entirely wrong.
So yeah, I mean, bring that into it, and between the three, what's your go-to?
Nintendo has game titles that I truly adore, like Breath of the Wild and Pokemon and stuff like that you can't get on other consoles. I will say, like, when it comes to like sit down gaming at home, I may slightly give the edge to PlayStation just because of most of the games that they have that I'm going to play are very lengthy games.
Yeah.
Whereas like Nintendo has really fun games, but outside of Breath of the Wild and like one of the recent Pokemon games, they're not long games.
Right.
Most of the time you can finish those. If you've got like a free weekend and got nothing to do and don't want to move off the couch, you can get through most of their games.
Yeah. It almost, for me, I feel like Nintendo is more made for party games like the Super Mario and the Smash Brothers and stuff like Mario Kart, things like that.
Like especially
that's what comes
really
to mind for me
since
anyway.
Like for the past, I guess, decade, they've focused a little bit more heavily on that gaming on the go.
Yeah,
it's like
that's
they
true.
had the Wii, they had the Wii U, where you were still at home, but it was also like trying to get you up and get you moving to some extent.
Yeah.
And then like the Switch and the 3DS and so on, it's like, no, we want you to be able to take this wherever you go and game at your schedule, not be tethered to a TV is stuck at home just to play.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, definitely that maneuverability of being able to go anywhere gives a good edge to Nintendo, definitely.
Yeah, and especially when you look at games like Breath of the Wild on the Switch, it's just that is a gorgeous game.
Yeah.
And that is a game that I am playing in my hand. And granted, I may only have like 2 or 3 hours of battery life on that gorgeous screen, but I've got that in my hands.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, and for me, it's more just an issue of like I enjoy storylines. I like seeing what people do with what they have and what fits within the confines of either that universe or that genre, whatever it may be. So for me, I played Nintendo for mostly Nintendo exclusives. Yes, party games. I'll play PlayStation because they have franchises that have characters that they know the audience knows and loves that they may not respect. But thankfully, that's kind of a rare edge case.
Yeah.
And then Xbox, they have exclusives, and I just say, that's cute. I have a Steam account.
Well, Xbox has moved away from the exclusives, whereas like Sony still has a lot of exclusives, but not nearly as many as they used to. And then there's Nintendo is just like, no, this is ours. You will not play with my toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except for Sonic. Sonic can be...
Sonic's pretty much on everything now.
Yeah. Like, Mario is exclusively, like...
Sadly, they've also, like, stopped caring about Sonic until the recent movies did really well.
They stopped caring about Sonic after Sonic CD.
Yeah.
Well, I would take that back. They almost cared with the original Sonic Adventures for Dreamcast. Almost. Mm-hmm. It was fun.
There's a console that was ahead of its time and did not do well, huh?
Yeah.
That was the original has a screen in the control console, and it's just like... It was interesting, and I remember playing it with a friend back in the day.
It had a Game & Watch in this.
Yeah. I remember playing it, and I was like, this is really cool. And then I felt like just a week later, there was like, Gamecast is dead.
Yeah, pretty
much. So, what are some of the most memorable video games from your childhood on any console?
It's like, number one has to be Pokemon. Like, that is one of those game franchises that I still play to this day. I don't care how old I get. I will still get excited when a new Pokemon trailer drops. Like,
yeah,
it's always going to be the case. It's all of the fun memories of just, like, trying to carefully play while driving on the road. And so, like, take 2 steps when there's a traffic light going over that I could see.
You didn't have one of the worm lights that didn't do any of that?
Not in the beginning. It once I got one, fantastic. But it took a minute to get to that point.
Yeah.
But that's definitely one that stands out. And then also just the old Mario games. Like that was the old Super Nintendo Mario and Donkey Kong Country. Like that's what got me into gaming.
Yeah.
That was when my love for gaming really started.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it would be Wolfenstein 3D and Red Baron. Those are the two that Dad and I would play fairly frequently at home. But also if I was over at a friend's house, one title that we would constantly play was the original Duck Hunt.
Yep.
I say original because there actually is now a VR title called Duck Hunt, and it is a horror take on the original game. It's hilarious.
Nice.
One of my favorite memories was when we got a Nintendo 64 and they had the Donkey Kong 64 on it. Me and my sisters were watching Jumanji, and then I went into the other room and started playing Donkey Kong 64, and I happened to have that like same kind of rhythm to the intro of it. My mom was like, "What is going on?"
Nice. Oh man. I mean, I have a long list of games that I think of when I'm thinking about old games. Is like for PC, I had a bunch like Morrowind, Age of Empires, Zoo Tycoon, stuff like that. One of my favorite memories of PC gaming was Morrowind, because it was something that my dad and I actually used to play together. It wasn't something we actually played together, but he would be playing and I'd be watching him play, and then I would play and he would watch me play, and it was a cool bonding moment for my dad and I. And I mean, it was kind of my introduction sort of to D&D in some ways, but at the time it wasn't D&D.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing a lot of the similarities there.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, and then you can go back to like Sega Genesis and stuff like that with one of the ones that I think about the most was one that my grandmother had, which is so funny to think about my grandmother having it, but it was a game called Golden Axe.
Yes.
And it was just like this guy with an axe and like just going hog wild on enemies and stuff. Yeah. So it was just like, this is so crazy. And technically I wasn't supposed to be playing it, but but my grandmother didn't care and my mom wasn't around. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So whenever we traveled, because that's something we did a fair bit of, we would do road trips fairly frequently. So my sister and I would play, we'd play Worms Armageddon. It's another funny story about that particular title, but it's kind of a downer, so I'm just gonna ignore that one. But we would play that, and we'd go back and forth between our two teams. We eventually roped whoever's in the passenger seat into it occasionally after a while. And then I remember on a road trip we stopped at some scenic viewpoint. I think it was some cabin. It was some historic monument. We're walking back to the van, and as we're walking up, I see this Game Boy cartridge, and it's Pokemon Red. And this was during that time of the whole, it's awful, it's bad, don't let your kids play it for whatever reason. I show my folks
too.
Yeah. And so I show my folks, like, I mean, it works on what we already have, but I know some of the conversations going around right now. They're like, why not have fun? And so then that got my sister and I both hooked on Pokemon from then on.
Nice.
Those always made me laugh. It was just like, Pokemon's of the devil. Okay. How? Prove it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never quite got that one. There was a couple of shows I could see, but not specifically that one.
Yeah.
But
so I have to admit though, that another thing that I deeply miss is couch co-op.
Oh yeah, that is something I am. If they ever bring that back to real gaming, like they do it for like the Lego games and stuff like that, but other than that, they really don't have it, and I really want them to do it, especially for some of those like more superhero type games. Like I know they're kind of trying to do it for the new Arkham game, but I heard that they're actually not bringing it to couch co-op. It's more of an online thing.
Yeah.
Well, like the online co-op is what they're all moving to, because that's like they can monetize the crap out of that.
Oh yeah,
they can just put on loot boxes and passes and your left kidney if they really feel like it. And they're going to do whatever they want. and get the money out of
feel,
it.
Caleb?
That rant is not family friendly, so we won't go down that rabbit hole. But it's just like couch co-op isn't considered a moneymaker anymore, so they're just not going to bother with it, unfortunately.
See, I don't
But games
understand.
like Lego Star Wars, it's kind of funny because like everyone talks about wanting couch co-op, and then Lego Star Wars comes out, and they're like, "Why can't I play it online with my friends?" It's like, you wanted this, like they gave you what you asked for.
Yup.
I think the problem is that people want both. People want to be able to sit at home with their friends and play, and then they also want to be able to play with their friends when they're not together.
Yeah.
And I think that if they just put those two things in the game together, I really think they could make some better money.
And pair it with a good single player story.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the time these days, the games that actually have like couch co-op are the arcade fighters. And it's like, those are fun to an extent, but I'm not going to spend days and days and days and days playing that. Like me and a friend of mine, we bought the Demon Slayer game. That's like a arcade fighter type game. And we played that, and it's like, okay, cool. We played this for like 4 hours. We'll play it again once the DLC characters come out so we can test those out. But it's like, we're not sitting there like, oh, we need to play this every day. It was like, no, this was a fun play. We'll wait till the DLC characters come out and see how those are, and then we'll be good for now.
Yeah, it's like all those like Mortal Kombat games and the Injustice and stuff like that. It was like, they're fun to play a couple of times, and then it's like, okay,
Then
it's the
novelty
same thing
quickly runs
over and over.
off.
Yeah.
Especially if one of the players is better than the other, then it's just assault driven mess.
Yeah. So if they could come out with a game that's more story driven that you can play together, it would just be amazing.
So
And
actually,
like really the Halo games are some of the few games that still have that type of feature. And granted, of course, Halo Infinite doesn't, but it has loads of problems. But like the Halo games were always ones that had that split screen, and me and my old roommate Justin would always play through those. We still have like different like legendary runs and stuff that we're playing on together online whenever we can. So it's like those are fun games because it's like not directly competing with each other. But if I'm driving a tank and see Justin, like, it can happen.
Yeah, just like us playing Lego Star Wars the other day.
you mean your dedicated spare ammo carrier?
I mean, there's a couple of times in Halo
The ammo
co-op.
you can't get back.
There's a couple times in the Halo co-op, I was just like, Justin and I would be playing, and I was like, all right, Justin, I'm out of ammo. Just stick me with a grenade and let me run out there.
Yup.
And so he'd just stick me, and I'd just sprint out there and take some with me and respawn with ammo. And you just keep going.
Yup.
That's crazy cool.
So, Caleb, I think you've already hit on this fairly forwardly, but what was a game that stood out to y'all for couch co-op?
Oh
It's
man.
definitely the Halo games for me. Yeah, no, it's definitely the Halo. And I do remember playing a bunch of Star Wars Battlefront 2 back in the day and doing like the Galactic Conquest and stuff with my old roommates back when we were in high school. Those were definitely big ones that stood out to me. One that I spent just an absurd amount of time playing with friends was the old WWE games. Those games were so fun because we would just compete with each other, or we'd like join a team and like make it no DQ or just beating the crap out of our opponents.
Yeah. For me, definitely Return of the King. Lord of the Rings Return of the King was amazing. My brother and I spent so many hours playing that game. And that stupid Pelennor level was stinking hard because you had to go up on one side and then come back and like fight people on the middle and then come back on this side, and it was so hard. Back in the day, I think I could probably like smoke it now, but
you think that, but there's been a few times I've gone back to older games thinking I'm a much better gamer now, and then I'm like, why am I struggling? This is stupid.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. Well, for me, the game that stands out the most had to have been Fur Fighters.
What is it?
Fur Fighters?
fur fighters.
Yes.
Wait a second. Is that the one where like they're like it was like tigers and like
It's a kangaroo, a bat,
okay.
a teddy bear. Yeah, like they're different. They're different, very stylized animals.
Uh-huh.
But it's like a third-person shooter.
Okay. It wasn't what I was thinking of, but
they're
yeah.
literally shooting the stuffing out of each other. It was one of those things where the novelty just never wore off.
Mm-hmm. Nice. There was one that it wasn't a co-op one, but it was one I had a demo for. That for some reason it just reminded me of that. It was a fighter game, like a 1v1, and it was like anthropomorphic animals, and it would just be like ninja fighting, not ninja fighting, but like kung fu fighting.
Yeah,
it was pretty sweet.
Altered Echo or Alter Ego.
I don't remember what it was called.
Primal Rage. Was it dinosaurs?
Oh, it might be Primal Rage.
Yeah, with the dinosaurs.
No, I don't think it had dinosaurs.
Anyway,
but that sounded familiar. I don't know why, but I'll have to look it up later.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people can comment in the
correct us. Yeah.
But so to I think we're coming to a close on this episode, but we wanted to wrap this up with what our top 5 favorite video games ever were. So, and I'm not going to hold it to top 5. We can add a couple more here and there if we want to, but these are our top 5 favorite video games.
Yeah,
Who wants to start?
I guess I'll start, but I also had to like stop at 7, and that was difficult to bring it down to 7. Like number 1, first and foremost, has to be the Kingdom Hearts series. Like I love that series. I've spent so much time and money on that series. I've bought it on every PlayStation console I've had and played it on every PlayStation console I've had. So like across 3 different platforms or 3 different consoles, easily over 1,000 hours in that series.
Oh yeah.
Like hands down my favorite console or my favorite game. And then second would be Pokemon, because again, like I've been playing that since I was a kid. I love that series. I still play it. Like teaser trailer for the new Pokemon game that's supposed to come out later this year dropped. Didn't give us any information. I was still freaking out, just texting everyone, did you say this? And then this will be as no surprise to my friends Blake and Gabe, because I probably have annoyed the crap out of them bringing it up so much, but Bloodborne. That is a recent discovery, but I absolutely love that game. It went from being me just not really having patience for FromSoft games, just because like I don't do well with like moving slowly and memorizing patterns. I just want to charge in, tank the hit, and walk away like I did something cool. Like, so like
slow walk away from an explosion.
Yeah. So I was just like, I never did good with those games, but there is like the most recent time I started playing Bloodborne, something just clicked.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I beat it twice in less than 50 hours and went in for a third run. Can't remember the last time I played a game 3 times in a row like that. Like, so that I love that game. The Jak and Daxter series is another one from childhood that I love, and it's another one I've bought on every console that I've owned. Just like I love playing those games. Jak and Daxter 2 is one of those that's like I think I'm a better gamer, and then I play it some of those like terrible platforming levels, and I just rage. I'm like, this isn't fun. And then the Spider-Man PS4 that came out a few years ago, just an absolutely incredible game. Like I went into it with very low expectation and just not really thinking anything of it, because I was like, superhero games are kind of miss. Like if it's not Arkham, it is what it is. And then I started playing it, and I was like, oh, I was so wrong. It was a gorgeous game. And then Jedi Fallen Order was another one, kind of the same mindset. Went in just very low expectation. It ended up just absolutely loving the game, and another one that I've played through multiple times and just keep going back to. And last but not least is the Fire Emblem series. I love those games. Just the strategy element and like having different characters and saying like, okay, these characters won't be good for this one, but this type of class will be really good for this level, and just switching them out. And it's like, ooh, I didn't level this character up. This will be fun. Let's see what happens. Like, yeah, I couldn't narrow it down to just 5 because those 7 were just too good. I love them. So That's my list.
Very nice.
Yeah.
David?
So again, no particular order. And yeah, actually, you know what? I'm gonna drop one of these out because it's enjoyable, but it's not exactly memorable. If that makes sense. Anyway, so the Legend of Zelda series has always stuck with me, but Majora's Mask in particular is by far one of my favorites. Twilight Princess is second, and Breath of the Wild after that. But the Silent Hill series has been awesome. I was really disappointed with the whole playable trailer thing. In fact, my hard drive for my PS4 crashed.
Oh,
so
no.
I can't get it back. Oh. Yeah. Oh. And then another one is another couch co-op favorite, Cell Damage.
Okay. All right.
And as I've already gushed on this one fairly frequently today, the Worms series is awesome. But also, it's kind of a guilty pleasure. I really like the Persona series.
I mean, those have the following that they have for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
So,
They're great
don't
story.
be a guilty pleasure. Just own that. That is all you. You got this.
Yeah, they're a great story, but there are some elements that are kind of, they fit with a certain demographic, and it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, are we hearkening back to the "Hi, I'm David, I'm a Weeb" episode?
No, actually, not that demographic I was referring to. Just more kind of the edgelord demographic. And it's like, okay. But yeah, I actually got a PS2 when I went to college. Got a PS2 in particular so I could play through that again. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, mine, again, in no particular order, I just love all these games. So I will say the Arkham series is great, but I think my favorite one is Arkham Knight. Also, Marvel Spider-Man was just a phenomenal game.
The PS4.
The PS4, yeah, it was
That's so good.
like the storyline, the playability, the mechanics of it were crazy. The swinging, the jumping all around, the parkour elements that were just top notch for me. Also, Ghost Recon, again, it's another series I like, but one of my favorite ones because it's one of the newer ones. Is Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It's a lot more open world than some of the other ones, and I love open world games. But then, speaking of open world games, another series is Uncharted, but definitely Uncharted 4. Such an amazing game. All the puzzles and stuff are just really good, and the updated mechanics are just top notch again. And then one that's a little bit more obscure, I think, was the Infamous series. I loved those games. It was superhero and like open world and all that kind of stuff all rolled into one. It was one of the first kinds of games like that really got me loving those. So, but yeah, those are my top 5. Thank you for sharing your guys's, and we'll actually open up to you guys at home. Let us know what your top 5 video games, your favorite video games, and then yeah, we will close it there. Blooper time. Our favorite video games. David. I was trying to eke it out.
You did.
Why?
It was.
I was just over here getting high on my own farts.
It's just the timing and the tone.
I am curious if it actually made it into the